welcome back to my channel. My name is Michaela. I like to do videos regarding finding your home wherever you are. I grew up moving all the time and I have now lived in Connecticut for 5 years, which is the longest that I've ever lived anywhere, specifically the longest I've ever lived in like a physical residence. So it's been interesting to me to see how I've adapted to different places because I was born in North Carolina, lived in Georgia and Tennessee, and then my husband and I met in Virginia when I was 13. So structure is something that I feel like I had to learn on my own. It wasn't really taught to me. I kind of grew up in a very chaotic household. So structure just was not something that definitely didn't come naturally, and it also just wasn't integrated into my behavior, if that makes sense. So it really wasn't until the past couple years, still to this day have a hard time when I create things like routines and habits and try to stick with them. But there are a handful of tools and resources that have helped me tremendously to learn what works best for me. And things are going to be different for you, and that's okay. I want to know like how many of you have these like natural disciplines and can stick with it. It's kind of ironic that I'm starting this series while I'm out of town, but it actually makes a lot of sense because structure is something that I had to learn and kind of develop my own recipe for myself. I learn what I need when I'm at home and what I need when I'm not at home, because my husband and I love to travel and we do it a lot, and this particular month of the year it just so happened that we had all these events that we agreed to attend and trips planned, and we're gone for the majority of the month of September. So it's really not a lot of time between to relax and like adjust back. So there are certain things that I like to make sure to integrate into our traveling that help me feel on track and not like so scattered when I get home. When it comes to discipline, I think things like routines are very beneficial. However, like anything else, if they become too rigid, they feel like a box and it feels like you're trapped and the discipline becomes too much to follow. So keep them simple, but consistency. So something as simple as just brushing your teeth and washing your face every night. Something as a ritual to just mark the times and keep you on track. Check-ins are huge. I find such benefit to just reanalyze any routines or habits that I have to see if they're still helping me. So a great example is sometimes I get into these moments of rewatching The Office, and for several years I would do this because The Office came to me at a time where my parents were getting a divorce and I had just moved away from all my friends and my boyfriend 7 hours away. And so I was really sad and I didn't want to deal with it, and so I just kept watching The Office over and over and over again. So for several years after that, anytime I was sad, I would watch The Office and I would use it as a coping mechanism, which is good if it works for you, but it does get to a point where you're just coping and you're not mending, and that can be very damaging. So finding what works and analyzing the certain things that you do at certain times and seeing if those are actually helping you and they're benefiting you anymore. Something that I did when Zach and I were on opposite schedules, I knew that was going to be my response. I knew that I was going to just drown out the silence at night with The Office, and I made it a challenge for myself to not do that. And that's actually how I started watching lots of YouTube videos, because I felt like if I was watching YouTube videos that were informative and entertaining and helpful, and they were real people, that I would have this bigger focus and connection. And it really did help. It was all by accident, but it really did help. It did kind of reach that point where I would just do it and kind of become numb again, but I recognized those things about myself and I readdressed how I was going to use it. So that's huge. And then just boundaries. And this could be with people or with things. So for me, with things, it's like coffee. I have got to make sure that I'm not just drinking coffee for the sake of a crutch. And it's an everyday thing where I'm like, okay, am I drinking this coffee for what it actually serves me as? Or am I doing it because it's what I'm comfortable with? And then with people, this is a really big one because we're also in this time where so many people are like, it's okay to say no. Okay, but if you keep saying no, eventually you're not going to be seeing people and you're not even going to be able to be around people, because, or at least that's what happened for me.